Class, I think that we are live and I hope that you had a good morning today. We will continue with the same idea, the same concept of the free classes. So if today is your first day, welcome to the class. I hope you will enjoy. And everybody who has attended before, welcome back for more pain and for more misery. No, thank you for connecting everybody and I hope that you will enjoy the class. Just to double check that we are live, I'm going to move the picture and to check, yes, we are working and we are functioning and we are live, so that's good. I just wanted to double check. So this is the picture from this morning and it's on my Instagram page. It's a picture of Moore Street in Dublin, which is very famous. It's a market and it's the oldest market in Dublin on the left. You can see the nice picture here with the street and the stalls. So very specific vocabulary with the stalls and the market. And normally they trade and they sell fruit and they sell vegetables. So it's a very famous street. And you can see the other picture is my favorite because you have the family walking past and everybody is looking at the camera. And for me, this is a more interesting picture. But it's a very famous street. And at the moment, it's more or less closed for business. But it's off Henry Street. So people are probably familiar with Henry Street in Dublin, and this is the little separate street adjacent to Henry Street, and it's very popular and very famous. In my Zoom, so here on the right, I'm using Zoom, and you can see another picture of Dublin. So this is a very famous monument, and there's a typical Georgian style building, and in fact, I think in U2, in the video of U2's song The Sweetest Thing, I think they record this street as well, so maybe you recognize from the video. So it's a monument or a famous place in Dublin. So again, the class, thank you for attending. The plan today is to have an introduction. So we begin with a small introduction of grammar to explain the important concepts, because it's very important that you understand the concepts at the beginning of the class, because during the class I mention the vocabulary and I mention the technical terms frequently. So it's very important you are familiar with the concepts at the beginning. After the introduction, we will look at a very interesting exercise in relation to the use of English. So let me see if I can show you. But there's a document we have in relation to the use of English, and it's a very good exercise. So the plan today is to continue with an exercise. Yesterday we looked at part 1 and today we continue with part 2, and it's a very good exercise. So I hope you will enjoy it, and that is the plan after the introduction document. And again, we have an article from the BBC, which maybe we continue to analyze an article for vocabulary, expressions, grammar and for pronunciation. Okay, again, we could continue with the phrasal verb list and also with the speaking, the idioms list and the phrasal verb list. That's a possibility to continue with more teaching and more explanation from the list. That's the plan for today. Okay, of course, speaking practice is a possibility. If you want to participate in the Zoom meeting at the moment, you can connect. The ID is here and the passcode is here. If now you want to connect on Zoom to participate and to ask a question, that's a possibility, because sometimes it's good and Facebook is good, Facebook Live, but I cannot see your comment until after. Okay, so if you want to participate now, you're welcome to join the ID and the code on Zoom. Okay, so also this morning we had a speaking class. So as you know, this is the schedule for the free classes. So this is week 13, and every morning at 9 o'clock we have a speaking session. So this morning we had a small group of speaking, which was very, very good. And we looked at vocabulary, people with different levels, but really good practice to speak about general topics and just to correct some speaking and to check vocabulary as well. So it's a possibility every morning on Zoom. There is a WhatsApp group. So in my post on the Facebook page, you can find the WhatsApp group and you can join and you can book your place for the speaking sessions every morning at 9 o'clock with a small price, a small fee of €1 So it's very, very good. That's every morning. Also the free classes. So now it's the free class from 11:15, and this is Facebook Live every morning, Monday to Saturday. And also we have specific webinars in the afternoon. So depending on your location, if you want to have a class at 4 o'clock today, we have another class at 4 o'clock. It's a webinar. The topic is maybe sport, but it's very, very flexible. So basically it's another class, and you are welcome to attend. You are welcome to join. It's at 4 p.m. and you can contact me to book your place, and there's a small fee as well to attend for €2.90, but it's very, very good class. And you can see the information here: free English class, speaking sessions. There's more detail, and on the Instagram page you can see all the information. Okay, so here I have the Instagram, and you are welcome to connect on Instagram with the name @miglioreinglés, and I put the pictures every morning of Dublin, and then I have some little tips and little advice in the afternoon in relation to English on the Instagram page. So you are welcome to join. Twitter is practically the same as the Facebook page, and the content is almost the same, but the YouTube channel is just dedicated to the free classes. So after the class, I post and upload the full video to YouTube. So some people prefer YouTube, and you're welcome to join as well. Everything is free, so the class is free in the morning. Now it's my job, it's my work at the moment. I'm happy to teach for free. It's a good opportunity. At the same time, you are welcome to support me if you are happy, and if you want to contribute a little. At the end of the class, you can make a small donation and a small transfer. For me, it's a great support, and it will help me a lot, but I will explain at the end, and that is the most important information for today. Okay, so this is the document. You can see it's the use of English, and today I want to focus on the exercise from the Cambridge exams. Okay, so this is a typical exercise from the Cambridge exam, probably level B2, arguably. So the content, for example, the article, the quality of the full text is definitely fluent, it's definitely advanced, but the exercises are maybe level B2. So that's the difference. So the vocabulary in the text is very advanced, very good, but the exercises and the questions are probably level B2, but still it's a very good exercise. So you can see the text, and your job is to select from your brain, from your memory, the most appropriate, the most correct word to put in the space. So this is the difference, because yesterday we had multiple choice, but today we have no choice. Okay, so it's very, very exciting, very good, and I'm looking forward to doing this. And this is the list of the phrasal verbs. But now I want to show you the introduction document. So every day this document is very, very important, and today is the same. So I want to show you this document because this is the base, this is the foundation. So every day this document is the same, and I want to focus a little for 5 minutes just on the explanation. For me, there are 3 sections of this document. Okay, so the first section is use of English, the second section are the different tenses, and the third section are grammar topics and other important grammar points. So when you learn English, it's necessary you are very familiar with the terms, with the technical terms, with the grammar explanations. It's very typical at the beginning you are familiar. So I begin with the use of English, because the use of English is the most important in my opinion. This section is one particular section, and here you can see accents. So around the world you have people with very different accents. In Ireland we have a particular accent. In the United States they have very different accents. In New York, California, Texas, every part of the United States, the accent and the vocabulary and the rhythm and the velocity is very, very different. And then you have England, Manchester, Liverpool, London, Scotland, Edinburgh, Glasgow. So the accents are incredibly different, and this is a difficult job for you to identify and to understand people with different accents. So for me, maybe this is the most important topic when you're learning English. The second area are phrasal verbs. So the concept of the phrasal verb is a verb plus a preposition, but it's possible the combination changes the significance completely. It's possible literal, but it's possible completely different significance, and phrasal verbs are very unique and very specific to English, and we use them all the time. We use them with family, we use them in professional situations. So phrasal verbs are so important. Very small, very small combinations, but they change the significance and the sense of the sentence completely. Okay, we have thousands and thousands of phrasal verbs. Similarly, with idioms, we have thousands of idioms, and these are expressions. In Spanish, it's frases hechas, and we use expressions and idioms all the time to make English funnier, to make it more entertaining, to make English more enjoyable. And we use idioms with family, with friends all the time, and there are thousands of idioms, and these two areas are very important. And you can see my agenda for today: idioms and phrasal verbs are a big part of the class. Conversation and pronunciation, of course, is important. When you practice English, it's necessary you regularly practice your conversation, and also pronunciation is difficult because English is not phonetic all the time. We have some irregular words for pronunciation, and during the class I try to identify the key pronunciation problems, and you can see these during the class. Okay, the next section are the tenses. So when we speak in English, you need to be clear of the time. So there's a few concepts in English that are very important in relation to the tenses. For example, the present simple, one action you do in the present; the past simple, the future simple. This is the area of the simple. The past simple is complicated because we have a lot of irregular verbs in the past simple. So the irregular verbs are very difficult to remember. We have a lot of irregular verbs in the past simple, but this is very important in English. That's the simple. We have the continuous, present continuous, past continuous, future continuous, where you do the activity continuously. We also have the perfect. We have the present perfect, the past perfect, and the future perfect. So the purpose and the intention of the perfect, the present perfect, is one period of time in the past. It's finished, but it is related and relevant to the present. This is the present perfect. The construction is subject, I, you, he, she, extra auxiliary verb have, I have, plus the participle of the verb. And the participle of the verb is the third column in school: go, went, gone. Okay, so the third column is the participle, which is used in the construction of the present perfect and the past perfect. The past perfect is the period in time in the past that's finished, but usually it's before another action in the past simple. So I had eaten my breakfast before my friend contacted me. We also have the future perfect, which is a little more advanced. So that's the simple, continuous, and perfect. They are very common in English. The next idea is the infinitive. So the infinitive is the base of the verb: to go, to eat, to drink. During the class, I mention a lot the infinitive. We have the conditional. So in the book, the theory for the conditional is a little heavy and a little depressing to read and to study the conditionals in the book. We have the zero, first, second, third, and mixed conditionals in the book. But basically, in reality, it's less strict, in my opinion. It's related to if and the different tense. So if it rains today, I will not go to the city centre. If I will meet my friend tomorrow, I will talk about the football. So it's really less strict in reality and in conversation, but in the book, it's a little heavy. That's the conditional. The next area, which is common and impressive and very important, is the active and the passive. So the concept of the active is the subject, verb, object. I drink coffee. That's the active. And the creation of the passive is very frequent and very common. We change the position. The coffee, we introduce an extra auxiliary verb to be in the same tense as the original sentence. The coffee was participle of the original verb, drunk by me. So that concept of the active and the passive is very important, and it's very advanced, it's very fluent, and it's a big part of English. So they are the most important concepts in relation to tenses. Grammar. So other grammar points and other grammar topics are key. So it's so important you're familiar with the terms and you're familiar with the concepts in English of grammar. For example, the noun. A noun is a person, a place, or a thing. So here you can see the car, a nice blue car. So that's the noun. Okay, car. We have an article, two articles, a car or the car. So a car in general, but the car because it's specific. So that's the article, okay? And there's one rule with the article. When the noun begins with a vowel, A-E-I-O-U, we use A-N. For example, apple, an apple. Okay, so that's the article, the noun, the adjective. So the position of the adjective is before the noun, and the purpose, the function, the intention of the adjective is to describe the noun. So this is the car, but the adjective is blue. So blue car, and the article is the blue car. Okay, so for one object. That's the article, noun, and adjective. We also have the adverb. So the function of the adverb is to describe the verb. And the typical adverb ends in ly, quickly, slowly, happily, rapidly. And it describes the verb. To drink quickly, talk slowly, run rapidly. Okay, so this adverb's function is to describe the verb. You can see here. We also have modal verbs. So modal verbs are very common and a big part of English. This is a list of modal verbs. You have can, could, may, might, shall, should, and ought to, and must. They're the most common. So must is obligation. You have no choice. You must collect the children. You must fix the car. It's an obligation. It's a no choice. Should is for recommendation and for advice. You should go to the cinema. You should contact your friend. Okay, it's my recommendation and my advice. Ought to is the same, but the pronunciation is difficult because the G is silent. So you ought to go to the cinema. You ought to contact your friend has the significance. You should. It's my recommendation and my advice. Could, may, and might are very, very similar and practically the same. May and might are maybe a little more formal, a little more polite, but they're used in almost the same situations for possibilities and for options. I could go to the cinema. It's an option. I may go to the cinema. I might go to the cinema. Options, possibilities. Okay, they're the most important modal verbs. The big rule is after the modal verb, the next verb is the infinitive, to go, to eat, to drink. But the rule after the modal, we eliminate two. Can go, might have, should look. Correct, correct, correct. Incorrect, should to go, might to go. That's incorrect because it's necessary to eliminate two. Prepositions are a huge, enormous part of English. So prepositions, we have maybe 150 prepositions in English, and they are very small, but basically they are related to movement, direction, and position. Okay, so I speak at the moment, but direction, I speak to you. I look at the moment, I look, but I look at you. Direction, I walk. So this road you can see in the picture, I'm here and I walk across the road. So for movement, direction, and position. So this car is on the street because the street is a surface, so it's on the street. So you have on, over, under, beside, in front of, behind, below. We have a lot of prepositions and they're very important, especially in relation to phrasal verbs. So prepositions are really important in relation to phrasal verbs, especially the connection with emotion. For example, up is positive, up is creation, happy, down is negative, sad, depressing, destruction. So there's a big association with emotion and prepositions in the phrasal verbs. Just to check that we are all online, so I just want to check my screen to make sure we are functioning still, and hopefully we are still live. So I just want to double check. I think we are live. Yeah, okay, perfect. I'm happy because I was afraid, I was very afraid that we have lost connection. Good. So this next section is called the possessive adjective, the possessive pronoun, and the object pronoun. So basically the possessive adjective is my. So this is my car, this is your car, it is his car, her car, our car. Okay, but the car is mine, the car is yours, the car is his, the car is hers, the car is ours. Third, give the car to me, give the car to you, give the car to him, give the car to her. That area, three different categories, is very important. Possessive adjective, my car. The second one is the possessive pronoun, the car is mine. And the third one is the object pronoun, give the car to me. So you can see here the list, and this is classic and very important. A lot of people make the error here, okay, particularly with the masculine and the feminine. It's a very common error, so you need to be very sure and very confident and very happy. Also, the difference between this, that, these, and those. Also, the relative pronoun who, whose, which, and that. Okay, so they're interesting. Again, the difference between another, other, the others is important. And during the class, I mention frequently this. Creating the question is important, and that's a different topic, how to create the question in English. And then we have an area called suffixes and prefixes, and especially during my class, I focus a lot on the prefixes and the suffixes and the significance of the suffix and the significance of the prefix. For example, ANCE is typically noun, the importance. Okay, so when you see ANCE at the end, typically this word is a noun. Okay, IZE is typically verb. Realize, fantasize, monetize. They're the typical verbs. So the suffix, the area of the suffix is very important, and it's a big indicator to help you understand the form of the word, because again, a lot of people mix and confuse the correct suffix. Is it the noun? Is it the adjective? So you need to be very sure. Okay. Finally, we have linkers. So conjunctions are linkers. We have some simple linkers, but we have more advanced linkers. And the better you improve your English, the more advanced structures you will use. So this is very important in English, all the different linkers and conjunctions. Okay, and that is the most important introduction for today. Writing is a completely different skill. So there are 5 areas. When you study English, you need to maintain the 5 different areas. Reading, you need to read a lot. Magazines, books, newspapers. You need to read a lot. That's the best way to improve. It's the best way to see grammar. It's the best way to see vocabulary. Read, read, read. You need to speak. So you need to practice speaking regularly with somebody, and hopefully somebody will correct you. So speaking and reading is very important. Grammar, you need to study grammar frequently. You need to analyze the grammar. That's number 3. Listening is very important as well. Of course, you need to practice listening to the radio, television, movies, series, but also in reality, in conversation, you need to practice your listening. And finally, writing. So writing is a completely different ability and completely different skill, and some people have completely different levels. So it's very important, everything. Okay, so they're the 5 areas. Exam preparation is common, and Cambridge exams and the IELTS exams are very important. I have specific webinars in relation to exams. Yesterday we had grammar. Tomorrow, Wednesday, we have the IELTS webinar at 4 o'clock tomorrow. Thursday we have the advanced webinar at 4 o'clock, and Saturday at 1 o'clock we have the first certificate B2 webinar. So we have webinars every day in relation to exams. Okay, good. So that is the introduction document. Now I'm very happy and very looking forward to the use of English part 2. So this is the exercise, and I'm very interested in this exercise because it's very, very good exercise, very good level, very good activity. So the topic is important. It's necessary you understand the topic. It's necessary you understand the significance of the headline or the title. So the title is A Bicycle You Can Fold Up. Okay, so the verb is to fold, and in Spanish, fold is doblar. Okay, so it's typical in English to fold your arms. If you're not happy, you fold your arms in a protest. If the children in the school are folding their arms, they are not happy. But it's possible to say the company can fold. And I don't know if you understand the significance. If the company folds, this has the significance the company collapses. Okay, that's number 1. The company folded. It's past irregular, folded, so it's regular. And normally, to create the regular tense in the past, we add ed, folded. Okay, so the company folded has the significance it collapsed. And we also say to go bankrupt or to close. Okay, fold is typical with the close. So my job this year in the pandemic, in the house, we have the big family of 6. So it's my job, my responsibility to clean, wash and dry the clothes, and also to iron. Okay, and after I iron the clothes, I fold the clothes. So it's possible to fold or fold up. So fold up and fold are exactly the same. Okay, and that is just specific vocabulary in relation to fold. It's typical for the business and for the company. So that is one example, and the second example here is, where was I? So that is the first one. Yeah, so the bicycle that can fold up. And I'm just trying to fix my audio because I think I can, let me see if I can just change this. I'll hide this for a second. I think you're connected, Emiliana, but I just want to, sorry, I'm just trying to fix my screen because I think, okay, I'll make it small for the moment, but no problem. Yeah, so the title is the bicycle you can fold up. And remember, can is the modal verb. It's the ability. You have the ability, so you can. The next verb is to fold, but because it's the modal verb, we eliminate to. Okay, so let me just leave this for a minute because I think it will return to my settings. So I just want to identify and highlight. Okay. No problem. Okay, I'm still learning with Zoom, so I'll leave it here for the moment. So that is the title. So it's very important you understand the title and the significance of a bicycle, fold-up bicycle. So you are sure. I have it here. I have a picture so you can see. Okay, so a fold-up bicycle is the bicycle that can close. That's the context. So the first paragraph. Let's look at the first paragraph, and maybe I will read for pronunciation first. So first I will just practice for pronunciation. Folding bicycles have been, so the option number 0 is given to you, have been around for quite some time now. However, an amazing new Japanese version, something be folded with a swiftness and efficiency never seen before. Okay, and this bike is designed something that it is possible to fold it up. So remember, up is practically the same. So fold it up quickly. Once you pull the bike along, once folded, you pull the bike along something ease. Okay. So vocabulary here is important. Here, have been around, that means existed. So for example, McDonald's has been around for a long time. The significance is McDonald's has existed for a long time. Okay, so to be around has the significance to exist. Okay, and here it's the present perfect because it started in the past but it continues to be relevant in the present. Okay, so bicycles have been around, have existed for some time, so that means for, you know, a little time, but quite means a lot. Okay, quite some time is more intensifying and it increases the significance of some time. So if you are waiting some time, you're waiting a little time, but if you're waiting quite some time, the significance is you are waiting a long time. Okay, so I'll give you one example. I am waiting quite some time. I am waiting quite a long time. And in Spanish, I think it's bastante, because normally we say quite plus the adjective, quite happy. So just interesting, and I think the majority of people understand that expression. Okay, good. So let me just try and fix this Zoom because I want to make the screen a little bit bigger, and I think I need to change the settings. So give me one moment, and I'll try and change the settings because I want to change the view. And video panel, no, okay, I'm not too sure how to fix this. I want to make my screen bigger, but it's a little difficult. Let me check here. Hide self view, no. Okay, maybe this helps. So no, okay, I'm sorry that it's so small, but no problem, we can change that in a minute, I hope, but it's a bit difficult for me to fix, and I'll just sorry. Okay, maybe if I do that, if I ask Emiliana, sorry Emiliana, I think my settings are a little, normally I change the participants, so let me check one moment, mute all, and yeah, okay, so let me check if this helps. No, okay, so we'll continue, but you understand the idea, and I'll just hide this as well, just to hide the name. Perfect, good. So we are in the first paragraph. Quite some time means a long time, and however is contrast. So this is the key in the sentence. When you have however, it's for contrast. You are happy in Dublin, however the weather is very bad. So it's typically for contrast, and that's very important in the significance of this sentence. Okay, and I see we have a chat. Okay, perfect, good. So that's fine, and this is the start of the sentence, so it's a contrast. Amazing is the adjective. Because the word begins with the vowel, we need the article with an. Okay, so because the word begins with the vowel, the article is necessary an. New Japanese version. So Japanese is the adjective, new is the adjective. So we have three adjectives here. We have amazing, new, and Japanese. Three different adjectives, okay? And the version is the noun. So your answer for number 9, what do you think is the answer for number 9? It's a bit difficult because the next part is be folded with a swiftness, which is really, really good vocabulary, okay? And efficiency never seen before. So maybe now in the Facebook chat, if you want to put your answer, you can write your answer in the Facebook chat, because I want to explain the word swift. Swift is flexible. So swift is a bird. A type of a bird is a swift, okay? And that means it's a fast bird, okay? And that's the significance of the word. So swift is the adjective. So if you are very swift, you are very quick. So you go to the shop and you return very quickly, you're very swift, okay? That's the adjective. And the noun is swiftness. So it's basically a quickness or a very quick speed or a velocity. And this is the significance here. So folded with a swiftness, which means very, very quickly, and efficiency never seen before. This bike is the substantivo, the noun, is designed. So that's the structure. And this is the connection, something that it is possible to fold it up quickly. Okay, so number 10 is a little bit tricky. So this bike is designed, something that it is the bicycle, possible to fold the bicycle up quickly. Once folded, you can pull the bike along, something is. Okay, so a very interesting exercise, particularly number 10 and number 11. Okay, so maybe now with your pen or your pencil, you can put your answer on your page, or in the Facebook chat if you want to put your answer for number 10 and number 11, that's possible. But related to ease, I want to explain a little, because ease is related to easy, adjective. So the noun or the substantive that's related to easy is typically ease. Okay, that is typically the noun. Okay, and it is also a verb to ease. So this is very advanced vocabulary, because the majority of people understand easy. The vast majority of people understand easy, but the noun is the ease, okay, and then the verb is to ease. So really, really good example. I'll give you one example with the verb to ease. The medicine eases the pain. So that means the medicine makes the pain easier. It makes the pain lighter. Another example is you like to ease into the week. That's a very, very typical expression. And that means you like to start the week very easily. You like to enter the week very easily. So to ease into the week means to start slowly. And here we have a connection and a typical combination in English with ease. Okay, so you need to try and think of the answer for number 10 and number 11. And number 12, I'll read the second paragraph. This remarkable bike has a half-holding frame with a hinge in the middle. Really, really good vocabulary. Pronunciation is the hinge. And although the basic idea is something original, its is possession. Remember, my pen, your pen, this is the possession adjective. Its inventor is the suffix, okay? Or is for a person. Okay, so that's a good example of the suffix and an indicator. It's the person. Has created. This is the present perfect, because it started in the past, it's finished, but it is related and it is relevant to now, okay? An especially clever variation. Variation is the noun. Especially is maybe the adjective or the adverb, but clever is also the adjective, and its article is an, because the word begins with a vowel. Okay. Compact is the adjective, and compactness is the noun. Okay, and that's just a little difference between the adjective and the noun. But you need to try and find the answer for number 13 and number 12. Okay, so it's very, very interesting. You have no options in the exams. You have no options now. You have to select the best option for you from your memory, from your brain. And the final paragraph, recently, folding bicycles, something become very popular in Japan, particularly in congested urban areas like Tokyo, a city, something every square centimeter of space. So that's difficult as well, because we normally say square meter, square mile, square kilometer, square centimeter, quadrado, I think, quadrado in space is in great demand. A very good expression. Okay, if it's in great demand, yesterday we said the example sought after. I don't know if you remember the example from yesterday. It's very sought after. That means people really want it. People really want the product. So the iPhone is very sought after. The iPhone is in great demand. People want it a lot. Okay, so the verb is to demand, and it's like to order. It's a little rude. So if you go to the restaurant and you demand some coffee, it's very rude and it's very, very strong. It's very impolite because it's very direct. Okay, so the adjective for a person is very demanding, and we all know people that are very demanding. So the person that wants you to work, that wants you to do this, do this, do this, a very demanding person. Okay, maybe it's related to Latin, mandar. It definitely is related to Spanish and related to Latin, mandar. But demanding is a typical adjective for a person. So the boss is very demanding, the teacher is very demanding. And then the next sentence, Japanese. So again, you need to be clear the difference between the nation and the nationality. Japan is the nation, Japanese is the adjective. Irish is the nationality, Ireland is the country, Spain is the country, Spanish. So you need to be very clear with that. So here we see Spanish, or sorry, Japanese cyclists. So that's another suffix for the person. If you are a scientist or a cyclist, and I think here my document is a little bit slow. Need to be able. So it's an obligation. Need to be able. So able is related to ability. Ability is the noun and able is the adjective, and it's very typical with to be. Remember, adjective is typical the verb to be happy, to be tired, to be able, and the noun is typically with the verb to have. So able is the adjective, to be able, ability is the noun, to have ability. That's very, very important, the difference between the noun and the adjective in relation to the verb to have and to be. Okay, store is very important vocabulary. So to store is like to keep. So you have a lot of products and you store your product in the room. It's like to keep or to put. Okay, store their bikes. So it's possession adjective. My bike, your bike, his bike, our bike, their bikes in tiny areas at home or in the office. And number 16 is difficult as well. Something they should want to take their bicycles on the underground. So for the metro or the underground, we use the preposition on because originally it was a surface. You're on the metro, you're on the underground, but it is possible as well in the metro because you're physically in. But originally it's on the metro, on the bus, on the plane, because originally the bus is a surface like the road. So for surfaces, we say the preposition on. Okay, a folding model is a big advantage. Okay, so you take your time. If you have a little look at the full exercise, and maybe now for 5 or 10, 15 seconds, you can read the article and try to get your answer. And at the same time, I will try to fix my document. Okay, so you just look at your, okay, I don't know how to fix any of this. No problem. So let me see if there's something else here. Maybe the notes. No. Okay, if I stop the share, no, it's a bit of a delay. Okay, so basically, the first paragraph, let's look at the first paragraph. So folding bicycles have been around for quite some time. However, an amazing new Japanese version, and here, number 9, it's a modal verb because it's related to ability. You have the ability to fold. So the answer is maybe can or may. So I think you have two possibilities, can or may. Okay, and that's the possibility. You can be folded or may be folded. Okay, and I see, no, I'm having, I'm not very technically advanced. So it looks like my document here has slowed or delayed. Normally, with my previous laptop, I press Control, Alt, and Delete, but I don't think that's the solution. Okay, so let me see. Okay. So number 9 is can or may. So it can be folded or it may be folded. And we're back. Yeah, fantastic. Oh, we're gone again. So we're back. So number 9 is can be folded or may be folded. Very important. Swiftness means very quickly. This bike is designed. So number 10, I'm very curious for your answer, because if you have the answer for 10 correct, you're probably very good with English. The answer for number 10 is so that. And it's typical for consequences. Okay, I buy some chocolate so that I can eat it later. So for the consequence, or for the result, I buy some chocolate so that I can eat it later. So when you talk about the purpose or your intention, it's very typical so that. I go to Spain so that I can enjoy the temperature, I can enjoy the sun. Okay, so it's a really, really good structure, really, really important. And here it's the same, is designed with the intention or with the purpose so that the bicycle, is possible to fold it up quickly. Okay, good. Once folded, you pull the bike along, and 11 is very fluent and very easy. Sorry, not easy, very fluent and very good level. And remember, the verb is to ease, but there is an expression with ease. Okay, so you passed the exam with ease. That means you did it easily. Okay, to pass the exam with ease has the significance you passed easily. Okay, so really, really good structure with ease. It's very typical in English. So you cycled to the shop with ease. It was very easy, but it's a typical combination with ease. We have another expression, at your ease. Okay, so when you enter somebody's home, and you typically enter somebody's home and they say sentir en tu casa, so feel in your house, feel at home. In English we say feel at home, but we have another expression, feel at ease, or to be at your ease, which has the same significance really, to feel comfortable or to feel relaxed. So to be very fluent, very common. The next paragraph, we have some excellent vocabulary. So this remarkable, so it's really amazing bike, this remarkable bike has a folding frame. So a frame is very flexible in English. We have a frame for a picture. So when you see a painting or a picture, you have the frame. Okay, in the Zoom call, this is my frame. Okay, for my glasses, my spectacles, I have the frame of the glasses. Okay, we also have the bicycle. If you have a bicycle, you have the frame of the bicycle, which is the metal part of the bicycle. And also we use it as a verb. So the verb is very important. So to frame somebody is a little negative, and it's definitely in this situation for a crime or a bad situation. So if the person robs the car, this blue car, if the person robs the car and the evidence is the property, so the man or the woman puts the evidence of the robbery with another person. Okay, for example, the pistol. So they take the pistol and they put the pistol with another person, and the other person has no idea. So this criminal frames the other person. So it appears, it seems, it looks like this person has committed the crime or has done the robbing. Okay, so to frame a person is negative. It's to make somebody look, make somebody seem like they did the action, and that's very, very good. And here it's physically in relation to the bicycle, so the frame of the bicycle. The next word is very good, a hinge. Okay, a hinge is typical in the door, and that's the most typical situation, a door hinge. So imagine the door, and this part of the door and this part of the door that connects the door to the wall, that's the hinge. Okay, it's like the pivot. Okay, but it's very flexible as a metaphor in life. So my decision to go to Spain hinges on the statistics, hinges on the number of cases. So it depends on. Really good English, really fluent. To hinge on is very similar to depend on, okay, in relation to a decision. So the government today in Ireland, they have to make a decision about the new restrictions, and the decision hinges on the statistics. Same example as my example, but it's a very, very good expression. Also, we can say a person is unhinged, and this is classic, okay? A person is unhinged. The pronunciation is difficult, but it's the negative. And basically, you imagine the door. If the door has no hinge, it's crazy. The door collapses. It's not logical. It's not normal. So if the person is unhinged, they're a little bit crazy, a little bit wild. Feral, I think in Espanol. Wild, crazy, really fluent vocabulary, really, really good. So if the person is unhinged, they're a little bit wild and a little bit uncontrollable. Okay, unpredictable. Good vocabulary. Okay, and here it's just literal, like the hinge of the door. And although the basic idea is number 12 is a bit difficult, and the secret is this word here, although. So although is typical with the contrast. Okay, so I am happy in Ireland, although the weather is very bad. So it's contrast. And here it's important because to understand the sentence, it's invented a clever variation. So basically 12, the idea is not original. Okay, so although the basic idea is not original, so number 12, the answer is not. A bit difficult. And we have a second possibility in the book, in the answer, they say hardly. Hardly is a very important word in English, and we spoke about the word hardly last week. For example, I have hardly any food. So this is very interesting. It's a false friend because we say work hard. Hard is the adverb, so it's irregular. Hard is an adjective, but hard is also an adverb. Okay, and normally ly is adverb, but it's a little irregular because you work hard, which really means the adverb, but hardly is completely different. Hardly means almost nothing. So if I have hardly any food, I have almost no food. Hardly any time, almost no time. Okay, so it's really, really good vocabulary, really excellent expressions, really fluent English, and really very, very important. Okay, so it's a false friend. Be very, very careful. And here the possibility is not for number 12 or hardly. Okay, so it's almost not original. So good. Clever is intelligent, a very clever person, a very intelligent person. Informally, you can say clever clogs. If a person is a clever person, it's an informal, friendly expression. Clever clogs, it's like an intelligent person, okay? And it's maybe friendly vocabulary, okay? And number 13, the significance and the clue and the important instruction and the important clue for 13 is the verb to combine, okay? And the secret, the typical preposition with the verb to combine is with. So in my dinner, after my dinner, my favorite dessert, postre in Espanol, not the desert. Remember yesterday the difference of desert and the dessert. So my favorite dessert after dinner is I combine chocolate with ice cream. So it's very, very typical to combine something with. And for this reason, the best answer here, you can see already, they have with already. So it's not with. So here it's very simple. It's and. So you combine compactness and convenience with smart design. So 13 is and. You can see not too difficult, but a little tricky because it's necessary for you to think. Recently, folding bikes, here we see the verb to become. Okay, so we need to calculate what is the structure of the sentence. Folding bicycles is the subject. Okay, that's the subject of the sentence. The verb is to become. So it could be become in the simple. It could be we need to calculate and we need to think. So here we have two words. So it could be an auxiliary verb. And you remember the auxiliary verbs could be have or could be is. If it's the passive, active and the passive, the auxiliary verb is to be. But if it's the present perfect or the past perfect, the auxiliary verb is to have. So here, I don't think it's the passive in the context of the sentence. So I feel it's probably the perfect. Okay, it could be the past perfect, it could be the present perfect. But because it's still relevant to the present, popular, because probably today they continue to be popular today. For this reason, I think it's the present perfect, because it started in the past and it continues to be relevant in the present. So for this reason, I think 14 is have become. Okay, 14 have become. So you have to understand the context of the sentence. A little bit difficult. 15 is hard as well. So the clue for 15 is a relative pronoun. And you remember in the introduction, the relative pronouns, who, which, that. They're the most typical relative pronouns, who, which, that. And here, I think it could be one of these. Okay. And here we have the subject as city. And it could be which, it could be that, it could be where. But I think there would be a better option, whose. So because it's possession, the square centimeter of space is the possession of the city, and whose in Espanol is cuyos. In other languages, I'm not sure exactly, but I think the best option for number 15 would be whose. Okay, so the city whose, a city whose or a city where. So for me, there's two possibilities: where or whose for number 15. Okay, because they are relative pronouns and they're a little bit difficult, but it's the only option really. It's the only possibility for 15. And sometimes you have to have a process of elimination. So you have to think and you have to cancel and you have to find the best answer at the end. Finally, number 16 is one possibility. There's only one option. So the subject is they. Should want is like if they, it's a bit formal. It really means if. So they should want to take their bicycles on the underground. And then there's a second part of the sentence. Because you have a second clause or a second part of the sentence, the first clause. And because it's on the condition of the first clause, it's probably the conditional. And typically in the conditional, we use if. So I think number 16 is if. Okay, so a bit difficult for sure. But these exercises are very, very good. They're very, very nice. They're very good for your English, and they're very recommendable. I definitely recommend for you to prepare these exercises. And yesterday we had part 1. Today we have part 2. Tomorrow we will probably do part 3, and the next day part 4. So part 3 is interesting. You need to change the form of the word, and part 4 you have the sentence, and you need to change the sentence to make a second sentence with the same significance as the first sentence. Okay, so they are the exercises for the use of English. Now I guess we will. Here we have the list of expressions from yesterday. We continued as well, and I'm just going to zoom in to make it bigger, because the expression we stopped with yesterday was seeing red. So to see red is to be very angry. If you see red, you're furious, and maybe you do an action that you do not like, so you see red. That was the expression yesterday. And the next page we have is page 6. Okay, very good. So before I continue, I'm just going to finally try to fix this video, because normally I'm able to fix it, but I don't know why I cannot fix it today. I'm trying to make this my volume. I'm trying to make this the biggest. So maybe if, I think it's related to the volume, maybe, but let me check one more. No problem. Let me see a final solution. No, and then I'll just check here if there's any difficult participants. Video. You're probably looking at me and you probably think this is very silly because it's very easy solution, but I don't know how to fix it. It's not really important, but I cannot fix it today, which is a pity, but at least you can see it's small. Okay, so this expression to sell ice to Eskimos is very, very famous. We have another expression to sell sand to the Arabs. Okay, so it's a little joke, I suppose, but ice is obviously yellow, and the verb to sell is clearly the verb, but the past is sold, irregular, and the sale is the noun. So you need to be very clear. We also say on sale means available, and if it's sold out, it's not available. So these are the phrasal verbs that are very common and very important. Available, not available. And I think maybe we have Emiliana with the chat. Okay, good. So I'm just curious because sometimes it's better to have the picture a bit bigger so people can understand me a bit better. So that's the family. To sell. Sold is the past. The sale, on sale, sold out. So the expression is to sell ice to the Eskimos. So you imagine the Eskimos have a lot of ice. So around the Eskimos, they have a lot of ice. So really, they do not need more ice. So this is the joke, because if you are very good and very persuasive and very convincing person, you have the ability to sell ice to the Eskimos, which is crazy because they do not need any more. But you are so good that you can convince them and to persuade them. Okay, so to convince and to persuade is the vocabulary we use when you have the ability to sell very, very well. Okay, so you could, it's very typical, you could sell ice to the Eskimos, or you could sell sand to the Arabs. Okay, we have another expression in relation to sell. You could say he or she would sell their granny. This is because for the person, they are very serious and very professional, and they're very dedicated. They are so professional that, remember the consequence, they are so professional, they are so ambitious that they would sell their granny if they had the opportunity. So they're really, really ambitious and aggressive. And there's another word we say, ruthless. Okay, a person that's very ruthless is very no emotion, very ambitious, and does not care about the effect, or does not care about the sentiment. A very ruthless person. Shelf life is very, very good. So a shelf is in the room. In the room for the books, you have the book shelf. So the shelf is the estanco, I think, in Espanol. Singular is one shelf, and two shelves are plural. So that's very important, number one. And the expression is the shelf life, typically related to food. Okay, so I bought, the past buy, I bought a yogurt today, and the shelf life is 2 weeks. This means it's possible to leave the food on the shelf for 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, you need to throw away. Okay, we have the verb to expire, which is caducar in Espanol. So the food will expire in 2 days, in 3 days. The shelf life of the food is 3 days. So very, very good vocabulary, very, very good expression, and little advanced, but really nice. Okay, so the shelf life of your product, and maybe it's a metaphor for a project. So the shelf life of the project is 1 year. The shelf life of the advertisement in marketing is maybe 6 months. So it's a bit flexible and a bit adaptable. The next one is very, very important. So the verb is to show. I think everybody understands to show, mostrar. Okay. We also have the phrasal verb to show off. Okay, and you need to be very, very clear with the phrasal verb to show off, which is like to boast. So imagine the person who has the new product, the new car, and you show everybody the new car because you're very happy, but too much, because you upset and you frustrate and you annoy other people. You are a show off. Okay, so a show off is the person, and the verb is to show off, which is very similar to boast. So if you boast, you tell everybody, oh, I passed my exam, I got a new job, I'm amazing, I'm fantastic. That's the verb to boast or to show off. But the expression, a show of hands, is typical in a meeting. So you go to the meeting and you have a vote, and the organizer asks the people for a show of hands. So this is typical. The organizer is responsible to count the vote, and the people in the crowd, half the people say yes and the other half say no. So a show of hands is like a vote. Okay, so it's a very good expression, like a vote, and it's very, very typical in meetings, in parties, a show of hands. So you want to decide which restaurant your friends go to for the party, and you say, okay, we have a show of hands. I say yes, he says no. So it's very, very good. The next one is related to sport, to show the red card. So in sport, the referee show or gives the red card in sport, but of course it's a metaphor in relation to other situations. If you receive the red card, it's necessary you have to leave and you have to go. Okay. Silver screen, I think, is Hollywood. So they say the film industry. So I suppose the expression the silver screen, you want to work in the silver screen, you want to work in the film industry. Okay. Single file is good. So it's related to school. And in Espanol you say fila. So it's related to fila in Espanol. Fila in English is a line or a queue. Okay, it's typically for the restaurant or for the supermarket, you have a queue or a line. And this expression, single file, is possible in the supermarket. It's possible in the shop. The owner, the manager can say single file. This means just one line. So not two people, not this way, just one single file. But it's more typical in school, okay? Because obviously the school is a bit more strict compared to the supermarket. So the teacher is very typical to say, everybody single file, okay? And that means in one line, okay? So it's a very good expression. The next one is classic as well, to sink or to swim. And the verb is to sink and the verb is to swim. So obviously to swim is nadar. To sink is inundar. Okay, so the ship under water and it sinks. Inundar. You need to be a little careful because I think inundar también in English is to flood. So for example, the room, if the room floods, a lot of water enters the room. Okay, but if you sink, it's related to the ship and the boat. Also pronunciation, you need to be careful. Ship, sheep, and sheet. So I'm speaking about the ship. If the ship sinks, it means the ship falls under the water, and very, very important. We say sink, sank, sunk. And also in the kitchen, you have the sink. In the kitchen, you have the tap, grifo, and the sink. Okay, so, oh, sugar, I pressed the wrong button. I actually pressed the power button on my Mac because normally the delete button is in the corner instead, but now it's the power button, so I don't want to press the power button to turn off. So the expression to sink or to swim is a metaphor when you put the baby in the swimming pool, the baby can sink or the baby can swim. But this is a metaphor in relation to a new job. If you start a new job, you have two options. You can collapse, it can be a disaster and you sink, or the second option is you swim. You never know until you enter. You never know until you start. Really good expression, really famous, and so common. But again, be careful with inundar because you need to be careful with the difference to sink and to flood. To sink a pint of milk is possible as well, a bit informal. So imagine the pint of milk, the pinta de leche, the pint of milk, and you sink the pint of milk. That means you drink very, very quickly. To sink the golf ball is related to sport. So when you play golf and you put the ball in the hole, it's possible to sink the shot. So it's a bit flexible as well. It's different from the verb to sink. The pronunciation is exactly the same, but the significance is completely different. The significance here is synchronize, and the significance here is with the ship. Okay. Again, a really good expression. The next one, sink your teeth into something. Really, really good. So if you bite more there, if you bite an apple and you sink your teeth into the apple, that means you really enjoy and you really attack and you really eat the apple. But it's a metaphor. If you start a new project, you sink your teeth into the new project. You really attack and you really bite and you really eat the new project. So now it's the pandemic with the restrictions, and you are looking for something new to sink your teeth into. You're looking for something to really enjoy and to really start. Okay, so really, really good. Excellent expressions. Also, we have another expression, to sit on the fence. In Espanol, the fence, I think, is valla. So in the garden, you have the fence. And the expression to sit on the fence is famous. The significance is maybe with your decision or your opinion. So my opinion about politics. So do I agree with this policy or do I disagree? I'm in the middle. I sit on the fence. So I do not commit to the left, I do not commit to the decision on the right. It's an expression to be in the middle, to be independent, to sit on the fence. Very famous, and it's very common. We have another expression, to keep your powder dry. So powder is related to the armas, the weapons, the pistol. You have the gun powder, okay, gun powder. So this is the origin of the expression, the gun powder. And if you keep your powder dry, this means you do not fight, okay? So you say nothing, you keep your powder dry. You're very angry, you're very disappointed, and you want to say a lot, but you keep your powder dry, you say nothing. Okay, so that's famous as well. Skip class. Okay, so the verb to skip is important. It's like to jump, and it's typical for the children. They play skipping. So the children, they play skipping. And we also have a skipping rope. So it's all the same family. So it's the rope where you jump, where you skip, but it's possible in the music. If you skip the music, you jump the music. In the line, the fila, the line or the cue, you can skip the cue, which means to jump the cue. The party, you do not want to go to the party, you do not want to attend the party, so you skip the party, you don't go. And to skip class is exactly the same. So if you skip class, this means you pretend, that verb is very important, to pretend. You pretend you go to school, so you say goodbye to the family, bye bye, have a good day, you go to school. Well, they think you go to school, but really you go to the city centre with your friends, and you go to the cinema, you go to the shop, so you skip class. Okay, very, very good. And that's it. I think that's sufficient for the expressions for today. Very, very good. So we did introduction for the grammar, we did the exercise from the use of English, which is very interesting for vocabulary as well, and we looked at the expressions for idioms here. I hope everybody can understand the class. I hope the connection is okay. I hope the connection on Facebook Live is okay. And I think that is more or less everything. There's obviously a lot more material to cover. It's possible to continue 24 hours teaching English. So it's really possible to continue non-stop. There's really so much material.